What up, search fam? Sharde here. It's Tuesday. Grab your tea. Let's get started. Hello, my dear ones. I hope that your week is off to a good start. Welcome back to the channel. I got some women's tonic tea with eleuthero root. This tea I get from the apothecary from my hometown, and it is just so good. It's good for my womanly bits, and it has just a very soft taste. Anyway, I have been thinking about this quote that I heard when I was at the photo cookout, the photography conference that I went to a couple of weeks ago. And if you haven't seen my review of that, I'm gonna link it up here somewhere. When I was taking my speakers workshop at the conference, someone brought up a quote that said, "You don't walk into a room, you enter a room." And this was in regards specifically to your presence on stage and like engaging with people as a speaker. But it stuck out to me in a really significant way as I think about the ways in which I occupy the earth. Especially since like this morning I watched a short clip of Jay-Z talking about how he occupies rooms, and he was saying, you know, I'm just myself. You know, I walk into a room as myself. But this really got me to thinking about how I occupy my own body. And I think a lot of times many of us struggle with who we are in our essence and authentically. And that because of that, we often shape ourselves or misshape ourselves into boxes and containers that don't fit who we are, or they're too small. Like we look, some of us, self included, shrink ourselves into what would be a more palatable presentation. And it occurred to me that in doing so, we cut off our connection to not only our most authentic selves, but allowing the universe to make room for us. And to be who we are at the most authentic is to ask the universe and tell the universe that I love me, I appreciate how I am created, and I want to be as much of that as possible. And I think when we are able to do that and make that sort of peace with ourselves and find some, you know, embrace and empowerment about who we are, it allows the universe to conspire for us, to give us more opportunities to be the fullest versions of ourselves. And I know for me at this point in my life, I am really thinking through how to do that. I'm in my 30s now. And I do remember as I was approaching my 30s, so we're talking about my Saturn return span, which is like 28 to 30, was really when I marked the lights starting to come on for me and who I am. And I was driving from my friend's job, and I just had a moment where I was like, I like who I am becoming. I like her, and I want more of her. And it's sort of as though I glimpsed the potential of my highest self in a moment. And it was a very mundane moment. I wasn't doing anything spectacular. I was driving and thinking, which I frequently do. And it was in that moment where I saw myself differently. And from that point up until now, I have been doing more to cultivate my most authentic self. And that is a lot, in a lot of ways, just me taking the time to let myself be. And I think when we give ourselves space to be, we open up the opportunity for exploration, for more whimsy, for more fun, because we realize that life is not meant to be lived rigidly, and that in finding some flexibility in our existence, embodying all the parts of ourselves, allows us to see how complex and beautiful we are. We are a sort of beautifully chaotic conglomeration of things that work together, and that we're not just supposed to be one thing or occupy one role or have just a singular personality. That even if we think about our character, there are so many things that make us who we are. So for me personally, that has looked like I am indeed a very high achieving, serious, and a reserved individual. Like, I don't talk a lot, just generally speaking. When I'm around my friends, though, I talk a lot more. I'm a lot more conversational, but that's sort of a comfort level thing, and trait of introversion. But I am as much, professional, academic in certain settings as I am really goofy and really sarcastic, and also a big kid still. Like, I frequently joke around with people that I have the amusement of a 6-year-old, but also like the sense of humor of a 15-year-old boy. Um, and those things live together. And as much as I'm, deeply spiritual, like sage like individual, but all these different things are parts of my character, parts of my personality that reside together, that some people see more of than others, and that's okay. But it's in giving myself the space to occupy all of those things. If more of the angsty emo teen millennial comes forward, that's okay. And sort of how I represent myself is in no means just one way. And the expectation, I think, sometimes is that how we've presented ourselves to people, anyone, becomes the way they understand us. And that sort of, they bracket who we are as that one presentation of ourselves. So when we evolve past it, or if we show another facet of our personality, it can be jarring, and people try to push us back into the brackets that they have created to understand us. And so that causes us sometimes to stay in situations, into relationships, in positions that stunt our ability to be our most authentic self. And because of that, we feel like there's no room. I've definitely felt like over various portions of my life that there's not enough room for me, because if I show this part of myself, these very real feelings that I'm having that are antithetical, that are a departure from the way that whoever has encountered me prior, then I will no longer have a place here. And as I have decreased, because it's a practice, learning how to enter rooms as myself, I am learning that who I am now, the body I occupy, the skin I occupy, the face that was given to me, that I stole from my parents, that if I choose every day to enter the room as that person, I tell the universe that I want to live the best version possible of a life as me. So please open the doors and place me in the places that I belong in. Form the conditions around me to suit who I am. And that's what you tell the universe, that's what you tell God when you occupy space as your authentic self. And so I try, and I encourage you to continue to try to do that. And just know that that is not come without its losses, because when you change, it makes other people uncomfortable. But I can tell you, those that are for you will applaud your evolution. And the departure of those who don't embrace your evolution makes room for more people, instances, and situations that do. One of my preaching mentors would always say, your gifts will make room for you. And so I want to extend that a little to say the authentic expression of yourself, the agreement with God and the universe about who you are, will continue to make room for you. I hope that that sits well with you. That sat well with my spirit. And I am continuing to try to model it, but also growing into being able to do it better. I love you all. I pray deeply that your authentic self wells up and erupts out of you in the most beautiful conglomeration of chaos possible. That you find spaces and people who deeply love and embrace who you are at your core. And that you will find a moment to enter the room. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.